Okay. Hi, my name is Lindsay. This is just a quick interview to gather some user feedback on like how to most effectively introduce students to UF, like acclimate them to UF. And so the feedback that you give in this interview will determine like what features we'll focus on and what aspects of the design will be implemented. So let's start off with some basic questions. What's your name?
Rebecca, will be my singer.
What year are you from? Or what year are you from? What year are you in, and what's your major?
This is my, I don't know, I think this is my second year, and I'm an art history major.
Where are you from?
Puerto Rico,
And are you a transfer student or a freshman student or
transfer.
transfer from where?
Santa Fe.
And where is that?
The Santa Fe College is right
Oh,
here.
Santa Fe. Yeah, right. Okay. Let's see. Why did you pick UF?
Well, it's one of the best schools, but it's also the one
Top
that's,
five.
yeah, but it's also one of the closest to me. Like, I don't have to move
Right.
if I get in. I don't have to, yeah, I'm right here.
Makes sense. Did you know anyone at UF before you arrived?
Yes.
Who did you
It,
know?
it was Alex.
Alex. Okay, so.
Yeah, because I knew him from Santa Fe.
Okay. I was gonna ask if that helped with the moving process, but I think your situation was slightly like yours was a little bit different. Like you moved straight into Gainesville, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, and so you live off campus, right, with your family?
Yep.
How do you interact with other students on campus?
Well, pretty normally I just chat, maybe just talk to them if we're in the same class or if they ask me a question or something like that. Nothing too major.
Right. You've passed by those like booths outside of Marston, right?
Yeah,
The ones out there. Do you ever talk to anybody from who are like advertising the clubs or whatever?
sometimes if the club is interesting to me or something.
Have you ever actually gone to a club because of those booths?
Oh, no, I don't have the time.
Okay. And do you actually go to any clubs like outside of the ones that are being advertised there?
No.
No, no time. Okay.
Yeah, because around every time they meet is when I work, so.
Right. Um, what was the biggest class size you encountered here at UF, and what was the smallest?
What's the biggest? I think the biggest is the one that I'm in right now. It's the late Imperial Chinese art. It's pretty big. It's pretty full almost.
Like
the whole
how many
classroom.
students?
I would say over 20.
20. Okay. And what was the smallest?
Oh, it was the ceramics class I took here, pottery. It was like, I want to say 9 or 10 of us.
I see. Okay. And was this a change from like the school that you had before you came to UF?
Not really.
Okay. So it was like about the same size at Santa Fe, because Santa Fe was like 23 people in the class, right?
Yeah, and then we also had smaller classes. Like I had a class where it was like 7 people, including the teacher.
At UF or Santa Fe?
Santa Fe.
Right. Yeah, I think it was honors to calculus where we had like 6 people, so everybody knew each other. How about like high school or like was there any like class size there? Or?
Well, I transferred from high schools because my 11th year I spent it at Puerto Rico, and then my senior year I moved here. I mean, it was basically the same class size, only I didn't get along with a lot of people. Culture shock.
How often do you go to like office hours?
Barely.
Okay, so you don't really talk to your professors.
Well, I talked to them in class and in discussions, maybe a little bit after that, but mostly no.
Have you ever picked a class that you regretted?
One, but it wasn't here.
Okay. Have you ever avoided picking a class because of like the recommendation of a friend?
No.
Something else? No. Okay.
that type of person I need to see to believe, because my sister and I went to the same college and to the same high school until I moved here. And every time she used to say, "Oh, this teacher was horrible," I didn't experience the same thing. Granted, me and my sister are two different people, so study-wise.
I see. So you don't really like. I remember you mentioned, who's the person that you mentioned when you were going up to get like yoga and stuff? The like really cool like art professor.
There's a lot of very cool art, but she's got to be more
Okay.
specific. Is it drawing, painting, ceramics, photography?
I just remember that you mentioned her, like she had got. I think it was the. No, I don't think it was Bolivia, but it was like
Oh, yeah, but she was in art history.
art history.
She was Taira Cabañas.
Okay, was she like the teacher or was she like a TA or?
She was the teacher. She was the professor. She's leaving because she got that really good job. But yeah, she's really cool.
So you like how much did you get to like talking to her and stuff?
We'll talk plenty with her, like after class or discussing some things. I talk with her somewhat, yeah.
Did she give you like any like tips on classes you should take or not really?
Well, I asked her for some advice and stuff, and she, answered back. But that was for grad school, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's good. How much do you talk with like your advisor about like your classes? Like, do they help you keep on track and like help you figure out what you should do?
Like once each semester, I will go to talk to the advisor. It's Dana
Like
Myers.
the required. Yeah.
Yeah, Dana Myers, and we talk. It's like 30 minutes once each semester, but she's pretty clear and concise with the stuff. Like when I leave, I know what I'm doing.
Okay, so like art history is like a fairly clear major.
It's more unclear than you believe.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that because like my experience with computer science, there's just like so many things that like.
Well, it's kind of same with art history, because you think there's not one art. Because you got African art, late African art, modern African art, and the same thing with like the rest of the world.
Right. Do you ever use like non-official sites or like social media to find out information about UF, like Discord or Reddit or whatever?
And I use Instagram, because like for the clubs and activities and such, even for the fine arts performances, they have like Instagram pages, and then they're like, whoop, here it is. They send it. So.
Okay, so you just use it to keep up with like the clubs and groups like within your major area?
Yeah.
Stuff. Okay.
Just in case when I do have a free day, I can just go.
Makes sense. Have you had any friends who like struggled when they came to UF? And if so, do you like remember their experiences?
I don't know their experiences, or I wouldn't say friends. I do have classmates. I do know that a lot of people don't know much that UF has to offer. Like today, we went to the museum, like the Florida Museum of Natural History, for a project, and nobody knew that you could get in free in the exhibitions if you had your like ID.
Yeah. They don't tell you.
They don't tell you that, and I was like, yeah, you can. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, this is the ID. We saw the butterflies. Which is also something we don't tell us that. They don't tell us about the museums.
Right.
They don't tell us about like the stuff at the hub, stuff that's happening at the rates. Like the clubs themselves have to promote that stuff. You get into US and it's like school. All social activities are like.
Right.
Even centers. I didn't know we had a career center. It's right next to the rec sports place.
And like the advisor like doesn't tell you about it, like
No,
the
and
website doesn't tell you about it.
also the whole parking thing right now, and the driving. I can't drive around the hub around here
Because of all the
past
closed.
past 4:30. No, it's a new thing. Only official UF vehicles, buses, and handicap people with like handicap tags can drive around certain areas in UF from like 5:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. So I can't drive around school anymore. Which was the problem because I had to go to the museum and bring a friend. And they were here. But I couldn't get here. They had to walk all the way to like the stadium so I can pick them up.
and they like blocked off, like they were like blocking off routes and stuff.
Oh no, they have a light that flashes and it says do not enter from this time to this time. Nobody told me that. So when I came here, I had to go around twice, turn around twice because I was like, nobody told me this.
Right. Huh.
Like-
When did that happen?
I don't know. And then there was also, because I know the university, it's not in the university, but it's in front, there's areas where it's like a one-way street now, and it wasn't before.
Right.
So if I wanted to get to the university, I can't go the way I used to because now that place is blocked off.
Yeah,
Do not
yeah.
enter. So I have to go around, and then it's like, oh, do not enter from this hour to this hour, and it's like, you guys could have sent me an email.
Yeah, they could have sent an email about that. Yeah, I remember. I know. I also see that construction on the other side of 13th Street, like here, and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's construction, but it's not as bad as it used to. The summer was really bad.
Right. Okay. Thank you for the insights. I think that's all the questions I have. So that wraps up the interview. I'll
Right.
quit recording now.